Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. It is July 26th. It is Monday. It is $9 Mondays. That man is not Steve Merrill, but I am Lawrence Presman. Steve will be joining us, maybe. Having internet issues. It happens. Marco D'Angelo sitting in, co-founder of WagerTalk.com, my partner, a man who sometimes plays poker. How are you, buddy? What's going on with you? How are the horses?
Well, horses are doing great. Had a good week last week. Both horses got me nice checks. And Prez, I'm a little bit confused. I thought you said I was co-hosting because I went 4-0 on the show last Monday. And now I find out it's only because Steve's having internet issues. What's up with that?
If we had to let everyone who goes 4-0 on our show host, Teddy and I would be out of a gig. That's how good this damn show is, Marco. Marco, Olympics are going on right now, and I have a question. There's a lot of made up stuff. Like, backstroke is not a thing. Like, it's just not a thing. Nobody does it. Nobody has ever said, "Oh, I wish I could do the backstroke right now. If only I could do the backstroke." It's not a thing. Butterfly is just, it's not a thing. Like, nobody does it. Nobody is in the water going, "Damn, I wish I knew the butterfly." But horse racing is a thing, Marco. It is an actual thing. Like synchronized swimming, not a thing. Just not a thing. Why is horse racing not in the Olympics?
That's a good
equestrian question. Is.
Yeah.
Like, getting horses to dance sideways is not a thing. It just, nobody does it. Yet, horse racing, nowhere to be seen.
Well, I guess as horse owners, we don't want medals. We want purse checks, and that's why I wouldn't be there. So I'm greedy that way. But Prez, the big story of the Olympics is USA basketball. What the hell? Lose to France yesterday, and I actually did a radio show here in Vegas on Friday, and we talked about it. I think the early going for the USA, these are guys that just got thrown together at the last minute and say, "Hey, go to the Olympics." We just finished the basketball season, and, they're motivated to represent their country, but let's be realistic. Because of COVID last year, we had a late start to the basketball. We had a different start to the basketball this season, and it's like they've played nonstop basketball. And in a couple months, they're going to start again. So where does the motivation come? But I think you'll see later in the Olympics, if they survive and move on, that they will end up being, more cohesive as the team works together. And they should be a little angry and when they come out for the second game and be a little more serious. But you're still always going to pay a premium. We talk about that on the show with anything.
Yeah.
Find value. And there's always going to be value betting against the U.S. Basketball team because the line's going to be so high all the time with them. But France got the money. Not only did they get the money, they got the outright win in the first game.
Marco D'Angelo, everyone. You can find him at WagerTalk.com. And Marco Joe Esposito writes, "Prez, you're nuts. Backstroke helps in the ocean." I mean, I have swam in the ocean like a million times. I was born on Clifton Beach. I lived on Bondi Beach for 3 years. At no time did I ever do the backstroke in the ocean. Why? Why, Joe? Why? Like, I mean, I guess if you're like capsized off of a boat in the middle of the Pacific and you're getting tired lying on your stomach doing breaststroke and front crawl, okay, you roll over. But then do the elementary breast backstroke. Or what about side stroke? Why isn't that in the Olympics, Marco? Side stroke, that's a thing, right?
Well, I got a question for Joe out there, and see if he answers it in the chat. If a shark's coming at you, which stroke are you using to try to get away? Are you using the backstroke? I don't think so.
Oh yeah, or if you're like, super tired, or you got to get somewhere fast. Like, I mean, I guess if you want to suntan your front, the backstroke will come in handy. Flat out. Anyway, what did Joe write? Well, for non-professional swimmers, it helps you breathe. Okay, Joe. So does the doggy paddle. Marco, let's get into it, brother. What do we got here? Washington and Philadelphia, very close to a pick'em game. I did release a play against Washington. It lost, but man, I had a perfect weekend, just to quickly mention. 2-0, so I'm thrilled with that. But how do we attack this Washington-Philly game? My original gut feel was Philadelphia, but I pulled away from this game completely.
Yeah, I'm looking at Washington in this one, and this is a spot, Prez, where Washington's got to be embarrassed after the weekend. They got swept by the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, come on. You're going to have a motivated team here with Washington after that weekend. And the fact that they did get swept by Baltimore, I think you're getting an overreaction from the market. Plain and simple, the wrong team's favored in this game, in my opinion. Washington should be the slight favorite rather than the slight dog. And we're looking at a pitching matchup, Joe Ross versus Spencer Howard. With Spencer Howard, here's the key to him. He's had 6 starts this year. His average innings per outing are 3.1 innings. He goes 3 1/3 innings. That means you're going to see a whole hell of a lot of the Philadelphia bullpen. Nobody wants to see a lot of the Philadelphia bullpen. That in itself gets me lined up on the Washington side. Then you look at Joe Ross. In his last 6 starts, 5 of those 6 starts, he's allowed 3 runs or less. For me, facing that, I've got the better starting pitcher. I've got a starting pitcher for the opposing team that's not going to go deep in this game. I've got to go ahead and look at Washington as an underdog. Key stat for you, Philadelphia got a win yesterday. They're just 16-31 this season following a win. And Washington, 13-4 after 4 straight games of scoring 4 runs or less. I'll take Washington for our first play today.
Marco, me and you talk a lot about handicapping and whatnot, and you're a situational handicapper through and through. And I have a question specifically in this Washington game, and this happens a lot. A lot of you situational handicappers, you talk about, well, they just got swept by the Orioles. They're going to be embarrassed. They're going to really focus, buckle down. Why didn't they do that after the first loss to the Orioles? Why didn't they do that after the second loss to the Orioles? Why do they have to wait to get swept before your situation takes effect?
Well, it's in-game series, yes, that's a good point, Prez. I'll give you, a check mark.
I'm not making a point. I'm asking a question.
Well, the situation here is it's a new series. It's the start again. That's the beauty of baseball. When we get to this very next game, I'm going to talk, clearly about situations and why they are important. I have found, though, teams off of losses, probably not as much of a factor as finding situations where you're identifying a flat spot. So I will give you the nod on that one. You got a good point in on me. But when we get to this next one, I'm going to give you the flip side to the situation when we talk about your Toronto Blue Jays when they go in to play the Boston Red Sox tonight.
Yeah, well, speaking of which, go ahead.
All right. Well, we know the Boston Red Sox just had a big series against the Yankees. They took 3 out of 4. More importantly, it was the fashion in which they won the final game of the series yesterday. Being a 4-game series, if the Yankees win it, it's 2-2. Nobody gains any ground. Nobody loses any ground. And the Yankees had a 4-0 lead going to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Red Sox, against their hated rivals, score 5, Prez, and get a 5-4 win. Now, a lot of people might say, hey, okay, now they got momentum after a win like that, and they're going into this next series. No, I don't look at it that way, and I'm going to have a case in point. We talked earlier this season, both times after the Padres and Dodgers hooked up for big series, at the beginning of the season, all the talk was it was going to be a 2-team race in the NL West between the Dodgers and Padres. Both of those teams, the next game, the next series, the first game of the next series, after they played one another, they both lost. Well, now as we fast forward through the season, it's the Giants that have emerged as the best team in the National League West as a major surprise. They just had a big series last week against the Dodgers. Both the Dodgers and San Francisco started new series on Friday. They both lost as big favorites after that big series. And they lost to teams, the Pittsburgh Pirates, my old hometown, that is one of the worst teams in baseball, and the Colorado Rockies. So there was a major letdown. That's what I'm looking for tonight in this Boston Red Sox game. That was a huge win for them. Big difference, taking 3 out of 4 instead of splitting. You gain 2 games on your arch rival, get even more separation against them. And now they're playing a team, Toronto, that they beat last week twice. I'm going to go ahead and look at this one and take Toronto against Nick Pivetta. I'm not a big fan of Pivetta. You look at his ERA. He's got an ERA of 5.62 and a whip of 1.49 in 10 home starts. Toronto's scheduled to send out Hatch today, and they haven't seen him before Boston. That gives Toronto another edge. And I've got the stat here. Toronto, as I mentioned, lost both games last week to Boston. When they play with double revenge after 2 straight losses to a division opponent, they're 22-10 the next game, the last 2 seasons. I'll go ahead and take Toronto here as a dog, live dog, against a fat and sassy Boston Red Sox team.
Marco D'Angelo and Marco, man. Listen, I follow the Jays obviously a lot, and I follow baseball a lot. Gutsy pick, man. I look at that as, plus 120. Hatch on the mound. Who the hell is he? I know he rhymes with some delicious words, but that's a different story. Gutsy pick, dude. Let's move on to the Kansas City Chicago White Sox game. Outstanding win by Chicago yesterday, 3-1. Mike Minor, the pitcher for Kansas City tonight, 7-8 on the season with a ERA of just under 6. Yet he just pitched a gem last time out against the Brewers. I wonder where you're going in this game.
Well, Prez, I'm going to go with the total here, and we're looking at a total of 9.5, and I'm going to take it over the total in a few reasons. You talk about Mike Minor. Yeah, he had a nice game last time out. We've seen Milwaukee. This is a team that has gone in stretches this year where they seem like they can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag, have trouble scoring runs, and he did throw a good game. But we look at the whole body of work, and Mike Minor, last 3 starts, how about an ERA overall of 6.19 and a whip of 1.37? And that includes that gem that you're talking about. He's had 10 home starts this season, Prez. He's got an ERA of 5.61 and a whip of 1.21. Also, we factor in He is a lefty, and we all know about the success that the White Sox have had with lefties. How about the fact that this season they're averaging 5.9 runs per game when they face lefties? And if you look at the White Sox and you're going to say, yeah, but Marco, the White Sox aren't hitting right now. They've only scored 7 runs in their last 4 games. Yeah, you're right. They were all against right-handed pitchers. Now they are facing a lefty. And we talk about pitchers. There seems to be certain guys, Prez, that no matter how good or how bad they pitch, they just can't get any run support. A guy that would come to mind right away would be Jacob deGrom. How many times have we talked? He literally has to go out and throw a 1 or 2 run game because he's not going to get any support. Well, Dallas Keuchel, the pitcher on the mound for the White Sox, he is the complete opposite of that scenario. He has had 11 nighttime starts this year. When he takes the mound at night, the White Sox are averaging 8 runs per game in his 11 starts. That's going to have me going over the total. The over is 10-1 this season when Mike Minor is pitching at home against an AL team that averages more than 4.9 runs on the season. I'll go ahead. I'll take the White Sox over the total. White Sox in KC here over the total of 9.5. I think this is a soft number because of the White Sox last few games being low scoring. And let's go ahead and take the over for our third and final play.
Marco D'Angelo. Marco, is there any rhyme or reason to why deGrom gets no batting support and Keuchel gets so much? And we've seen this year after year. I mean, I remember way back when Doyle Alexander was pitching, and it was like every time he walked out, the team put up 10. And then Jack Morris pitches, and they put up 3. It's like, why does this happen?
You know, there's no exact rhyme or reason for it, Prez, but sometimes it might be a mental thing. With your aces on the mound, you might think, okay, hey, we're in good shape. You know, he's not going to give up but 1 or 2 runs. And mentally, you might not be as focused to pitch or to hit in the game. I can think a couple years ago, he's still pitching. He's with St. Louis right now, Wade LeBlanc. When he was with Seattle a couple of years ago, his numbers were horrible. Okay, his individual pitching numbers were not good. Yet every time he went to the mound, they seemed to win because Seattle somehow was scoring 6, 7, 8 runs in his starts. And I think mentally, when you got a bad pitcher, you come to the ballpark bringing your A game because you know he's going to give up runs. You need to score runs. That could be part of it. But, you know, it's something that you can't give an exact science to. But again, that's what trends are for, is to find patterns and hope that they do continue to be that way. And until the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they score runs for Keuchel, and Keuchel's not an overwhelming dominant pitcher. So he's going to go out and give up a few runs himself. That's why we're there with the over.
I love it. It's $9 Mondays, everybody, over at WagerTalk.com. I have a baseball play up tonight. I won my last 2. 20-6 run for the Prez. That's a 20-6 baseball run for me. I have 1 baseball play up tonight. It's only $9. Head over to Wager Talk. Check me out on my page. Marco, what do you got going?
Well, Prez, it's been a good run for me since the All-Star break. Currently the number 1 baseball capper since the break. 10-4. I'm not a high volume type guy, but we have cashed 10 out of 14 plays for a profit of over $1,800. And if you like all the stats and things I give you here on the show, I've got a play tonight with 3 angles, all favoring the same team. And those 3 angles, Prez, total 51-10 against the spread. When you pick up the play for $9, you'll get my analysis on the game. And all 3 of those angles, head over to WagerTalk.com right now to pick it up.
And the great thing is, and guys who follow you long term are going to get these angles on a daily basis, is they got to write them down, because this angle that is whatever 52 and 11, 12, whatever you mentioned. Well, dude, man, come on. I'm 52. I can't remember freaking 1 second ago. In all seriousness, those things continue. It's not just for today. It's about using these angles and whatnot on a regular basis. Guys, no Steve Merrill today. Marco is going to stay with us all the way through. Why? Because he's the co-founder of WagerTalk.com. We'll be right back with Bryan Leonard.
From now until the end of July, all WagerTalk and Sports Memo customers can load as many as 3 and 7-day all-access passes as they want into their shopping cart and take 60% off using coupon code CART60. This coupon code can be used only once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo, but there is no limit to the amount of 3 and 7-day all-access passes you can load into your cart when redeeming. Every handicapper is eligible, so take advantage of the biggest discount we have ever offered. And don't forget, coupon code CART60 can only be used once per site and expires when the clock strikes midnight on July 31st.
We're back, everybody. Wager Talk today. A real quick rah-rah. Vegas sucks. I know you went to Vegas a few days ago. I'm guessing it didn't go well. I hope your trip did go well, my friend. And Joey Chicago, enjoying the show. Guests are great. Thanks, Joey. Really do appreciate that. Guys, if you don't mind taking 1 second to just hit that like button, it would really be appreciated. The algorithms in YouTube are such that, there's a lot of competition out there in what we do, Marco. And the way to get ranked higher in YouTube, I mean, there's many ways. And obviously we have a team that works on that stuff, but engagement is one of the key factors. People hitting that like button, people commenting on our videos, people chatting in the rooms. We really appreciate it when you guys do that. Thank you so much. Marco, on Twitter last night, I put up my celebratory dinner. Did you get a chance to see it? Marco is muted. I'm told Marco is muted, which, by the way, people who can't hear him,
he's good to go.
That's not a bad thing, man. Marco, the reason I asked you about my dinner last night was many, many months ago, you put up a steak that you cooked on Twitter. This is mine.
I did.
Now, that is a cook, dude, right there. Look at that cook. I mean, come on. Look, Marco, dude, that is medium rare plus all the way through, completely consistent, a piece of cooking genius, if I do say so myself. I'm not around tomorrow. Marco, you want to do it with Steve or you want me to call Vino?
Good. Go call Vino because I'm taking a trip tomorrow, taking the family to Grand Canyon tomorrow.
Wow. Never been. I'm going hydrofoiling again. I'm taking my 17-year-old daughter. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, the cook was amazing. And no, Rara, I have an iPhone. I'm going hydrofoiling tomorrow. I'm getting better and better at it all the time. So watch out for some videos on Twitter, as I will definitely post them. Let's bring in my good friend, your great friend, Bryan Leonard. And Bryan, I fully respect Marco up the pecking order on me. You guys do live around the corner of from each other. Where are you, bro? How are you? What's going on? I see you on the screen. Hey, whoa, dude. Clean. You look good. Clean shaven. And I was suggesting you grow an anvil. That looks good. Welcome to Wager Talk Today, brother.
Yeah, I had that conversation with my wife, and I said, you told me that you like that. She goes, I never told you that. I said, what the hell was I growing my beard for the last year? I don't know. Anyway, all I know is this Marco guy sure does have lots of time to go on vacation lately. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, listen, there is a method to the madness. What you do, Bryan, is if ever a guy named Lawrence calls you with a business idea and says, hey, I got a business idea, let's start a company called Wager Talk. If you get that opportunity, the answer is yes. And 7 years later, bam, traveling all over the world.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never got a call from Mark Lawrence.
Oh, aren't you funny, Bri? Aren't you funny? Dude, you still rolling in baseball? What's going on right now over there?
Yeah, treading water lately. Not catching the breaks with our friend Marco is over here. The guy can't lose. He's been on a tremendous run. Congratulations on that, Marco. But every time I have a good day, the next day I come back and struggle. So it's been a tough year for me. I'll be totally honest with you. I've dominated the last few years, but this year just hasn't been there. Still fighting it out, still trying to get some winners, but it hasn't been the same success this year as it has in the past. And, we always want to be as honest as we can, but I'm still confident. I think we're going to win by the end of the season, but we're losing out on days now.
Bryan, listen, I tell people all the time, you bet for 10 years, you have one bad year. That's exactly the same thing as having one bad day out of 10. So this stuff is expected, man. I mean, you just can't run as hard as you've been running. An outstanding NHL season as well. But let's get into it. Blue Jays. Marco discussed the Blue Jay Boston game. He likes the Blue Jays tonight. Where are you going in this game?
Well, we got a starter in Hatch who pitched last year for Toronto out of the bullpen. He was actually pretty good. Didn't pitch a lot of innings, but he's actually a starter in the minors, and he hasn't gone very long in his starts down in Buffalo this year. So it's a situation for me that I think he's going to struggle. We've seen this a lot with young guys coming up and getting a start. It'll be more of a bullpen game for Toronto in this contest because I don't think he'll be out there very long. Nick Pavetta's had a pretty decent year, but you take a look at the way these two teams have played. They've just been knocking each other around all season long. A lot of high-scoring games. I expect another one here. We're looking at a total of 11, which unless you're playing in Colorado, you rarely see totals that high. But you've got two of the best offenses in baseball. In fact, when I take a look at WRNC+, I've got Toronto at 122 in this matchup, and I've got Boston at 111. So that's combined 33% higher than a normal total, which is why the total's here at 11. But I think we're going to see lots of scoring here. Two great offenses. Pavetta's having a pretty good season, but we've seen when he was in Philadelphia that he's a guy that we can't really trust. So I look for this game to go over the total.
Bryan, I'm getting to play the role of Teddy today. So, Bryan, let me ask you here about that angle. Actually, I'm not going to disagree with you because I do agree with the over here. And I'm going to actually give you something that supports what you're saying with Toronto. When I broke down Toronto and I liked them, I talked about they lost 2 games last week at home. Well, they're home away from home whenever they played Boston last week. And when Toronto is revenging 2 straight home losses this season, they are 7-0 to the over in the next game. And in those 7 games, the average runs scored was 13.9. So that comes right in there and supports your cause for this one. So Teddy would have found a way to contradict you somehow, but, I'm a nice guy, as you well know, and I will agree with you on the over on this one.
I thought you were going to agree with me on that you were a nice guy. Teddy's just gives the contrarian opinion, and it makes for good TV, and I like that. So it's not a problem at all.
Yeah. So, Marco, are you done? Say something that's not going to get you banned from YouTube. Are you done patting yourself on the back?
Okay, go to the next game.
Bri, fascinating about that game is that when we started the show at 12 p.m. Eastern, that was a 10.5. So we actually have seen a line move towards the over on that Blue Jay game already. And I agree with you 100% on that. Not that you're asking for my opinion. Angels tonight. Ohtani on the mound playing Colorado. You know, it's funny, man. You ask an average person, how far apart are these two teams? And the Angels are so sexy. People might say 10, 12 games better for the Angels. No, they're right there, 4 or 5 games apart. Always extra value on Ohtani when betting him. It's minus 160. How are you attacking this game?
I look at it from a team standpoint, as you pointed out. The Angels hitters are so much better than Colorado's. When I take a look at the RNC Plus here, it's just a situation for me where the Angels are 102 and Colorado's at 75. Colorado's 25% worse against righties on the season, and I can't trust Colorado to win on the road. We saw them. They've only won 10 games on the road all season long. Granted, they are playing a lot better ball lately. I think they've got 15-15 over the last 30 games. So they're playing pretty good ball, the best ball of the season. But when I take a look at this game, it's all based on Germán Marquez, and he's been terrific. But do you really trust him going on the road against this Angels lineup? They're starting to get healthy. I know Trout had somewhat of a little bit of a setback, so he may not be playing for a couple more days here. But it's a situation for the Angels. They're starting to bring up their minor leaguers. They're starting to go to the end of the season here with the guys they're looking to build on. I like the Angels here. I think the line's a little bit cheap. I'm a guy who's not a big Angels believer. I said it before the season. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. And they're a team that's got a lot of real elite talent, and they've got a lot of replacement level players. But they're starting to get a little bit better, and I just don't trust Colorado in this range to hit on the road. If Marquez comes out and throws a beauty, I'll take it. It'll be a loss, and what can you do? But Ohtani's been one of those guys that pitches very well at home, and you're getting him at a pretty decent number here against a really bad road team.
Bryan, just a question for you, too, supporting you. How much do you look at Colorado coming off that Dodger series? Granted, they should be pumped up because there isn't a bigger name in baseball right now than Ohtani, so they should be pumped up. But that was a big series playing the Dodgers. They won the first game, and they gave them everything they could handle in the other two. Do you look for the letdown as well from Colorado?
I don't know if a team gets up to play the best team when you're one of the worst teams in baseball. I think you dread playing the best team. So I don't think it is much of a letdown. They did play very well in that series, but I think a lot of that was the Dodgers were coming off of San Francisco, and you being from Pittsburgh, you know how well the Pirates played against San Francisco in that series. So I think it was a letdown for the opposition for San Francisco and the Dodgers in that series. So, I don't think that's a concern here. I think the better team comes out and wins.
Marco, Bryan, Leonard, WagerTalk Today. Listen, we got one more game to speak about with Bryan, but first I just want to mention Kelly. One of the listeners asked if she's completely left us to go to Barstool. Bryan, I don't know if you're up on this, so the information, Marco, feel free to jump in. Kelly will be doing a lot of work for Barstool. We are so proud for her and excited for her, but she is never leaving our team. Marco, do you want to add anything to that? You're going to be with her on Bet on It throughout the fall.
Why would she leave when she's got she hosts the number 1 ranked show at Wager Talk? What show is that, Prez?
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Blah, blah,
Kelly
blah.
will be back for Bet on It and many other things.
So, Bryan, check this out, dude. So, Marco is all the star power on the Bet on It show. Him, Gianni, Kelly, the 3 largest Twitter followers, followings. They did the show in the studio. It looked incredible. And the Prez, the NFL presidential address, the oldest show ever to come out of Wager Talk, well, it got pushed to the side, did not get the Kelly Gianni star power. And it did not have the same viewership as Marco, but it was so close that Marco called in his favor and has now made the NFL presidential address even different for this year. I have lost all my talent and will be hosting the NFL presidential address by myself. So, Marco, you can stop with that stuff. It is not an even playing field, but I'm still going to try to kick your ass even by myself. Anyway, sorry, Bryan, we just fully ignored Bryan in the middle of his own segment. Marco, do you have anything to add to that, you sneaky devil?
Oh, wait till I put that other favor in and have the host removed from the host chair.
Well said. Well said. Cincinnati tonight, playing the Cubs. Kyle Hendricks, Wade Miley, really good pitchers duel. 8.5. Feels like the under is in play to me, Bryan. I don't know where you're going. How we're going to attack this game.
Yeah, I'll talk about this in a second. I just wanted to point out, I'm unfamiliar with that show that Marco's speaking of. I only watch shows that invite me on as a guest. If I'm not on as a guest, I don't watch it. I've heard about this show because Kelly's on it, and I think that's why he's number one over at the site, because you got a beautiful woman talking sports, and what guy doesn't want to hear that?
Marco thinks
I can only have
him.
one guy from Cleveland. We already have that guy on.
Yeah. But Bryan, in all seriousness, Marco actually...
Hey, by the way, we're going to get back to this baseball game. We're looking at the Reds and the Cubs here. This is the game I have up for sale on the site, so don't buy it since you're watching this show. I like the Reds here. We've got a situation from an offensive standpoint that I've got the WRC plus of exactly equal for both of these teams, so there's no offensive advantage for either team. But I like Wade Miley, and if you take a look at the StatCast numbers, his numbers are far superior to Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks does one thing very well. He doesn't walk anybody. He's excellent in that regard, but Miley doesn't walk anybody either. He's very good with a 6% walk rate. Then you take a look at the advanced stats. Both of these pitchers give up very little in hard hit rate. Their exit velocity is very low. But when you take a look at the three major stats that I take a look at, the ex-WOBA, the ex-batting average, the ex-slugging, Miley is far superior to Hendricks here. So we're getting the better pitcher. We're getting them with an average, with no advantage in offense, and we're getting them at plus money. Give me the Cincinnati Reds here. I like the Reds in this situation. And the Cubs are one of those teams that are just on the verge of trading away a lot of their players. And that's not a team I'm looking to be backing on.
Bryan, quick question for you. I don't have an opinion on this game, so I won't talk about this game, but you did bring something up about a team, the Cubs, where they're in that position. Are they buyers or sellers? How do you attack as we approach the trading deadline with some of these teams? Because obviously teams that go into the sellers mode, that's, a lot of people want to look and say, is the team going to quit after that? Because the management has said they're giving up on the season.
It's something you have to take a look at. Obviously, every team's a little bit different. It depends on what the preseason expectations were, and the Cubs are expected to be a contender in this division. And they haven't had a bad season. They're only 2 games under 500. But it's a situation where they have some guys that are making a lot of money. There's been a lot of talk about Rizzo going to Boston. I don't think Rizzo leaves, but you have to assume the back end of the bullpen, the last 3 guys in the bullpen will be gone, including their all-star closer. And obviously, Chris Bryan will be gone. So they've got a lot of guys that, if I was a player on the Cubs, I would be looking at it as an opportunity. You get a chance to get more at-bats if some of these guys get traded. And we see a lot of that come this time of season, guys that have come up at the end of the season, and they end up starting the next year because they've got some opportunity. And I like to bet on those type of teams down the stretch, as long as they didn't have preseason expectations of being disappointed in what they've been doing. And you talked about Kelly, and one of the reasons why we all love Kelly is because she has a lot of guts. She's just like a guy. She's a tough girl, and she's very loyal. And she's been loyal to WagerTalk the entire time. That's one of the reasons why we love Kelly. Anytime we've gotten other guys that have had an opportunity to leave, and I say guys because basically, other than one girl, most of the guys that have been going opposite going to other places. I mean, guys, they've left for the bigger picture. Kelly sticks with us, and she's been able to move on to other bigger and better things. I don't know if they're better things, but they're bigger. They've got a lot more people watching. But hats off to Kelly for sticking with us. She's just a great girl.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, well said. Minus one thing. Those people who left did not leave for something bigger. They left for something bigger in their head. Some of them called back, Bryan. Many of them called back, Bryan. Most of them left that job they left us for and moved on to other jobs because, well, no one answered the phone. Anyway, Bryan, thanks so much for joining us, man. Are you the $2 Tuesday handicapper?
I will be. I'm looking at the card right now, and hopefully you can get yourself a nice winner for only $2 for tomorrow.
Well, so you're coming back on the show tomorrow?
I'll be back on the show tomorrow. Hopefully the other guy that's going to be on doesn't have to wear a hat, but yeah, I'll be on tomorrow.
Matt Joseph, Bryan Leonard, Dave Sherapan, tomorrow's show. Thanks, dude. Get out of here. Let's go. Penalty box segment time. Man, is that an ugly mug. Okay, then. Steve Merrill finally make an appearance on Wager Talk Today at Internet Issues. He'll be back tomorrow. A shout out to Marco D'Angelo. No notice whatsoever. And he sat in and did a really, really, really good job. I gave him a 7.1. Also, shout out to Bryan Leonard. Bryan will be on the show again tomorrow, and so will Matt Joseph and Dave Sherapan. You can catch us, Wager Talk Today, every day, 12 to 1 Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel, Wager Talk TV. As for the 3 free bets I have for you guys today, well, listen, you've heard some of them already. We're going right to the Angels. Bryan Leonard gave that out as a play. I like them as well. They were my second favorite play on the board. I think it's the right spot to bet them. I didn't end up releasing them to my clients because it moved to 160, and that's sort of the limit. So if you are going to bet the Angels tonight, I would maybe look to bet half your bet on the money line and half your bet on the run line at -1.5. Don't get caught up with this. Don't take home teams -1.5 BS. I released San Francisco yesterday -1.5. They were at home. They covered. That stuff's already baked into the line, people. So ignore that fallacy. Jays over the total. We heard that play as well by Bryan Leonard, and I like it too. It did move to 11. It's the reason I didn't release it. I don't like to bet games that high, but man, it's going to be an absolute bomb fest in Boston. And the last play is the New York Mets over the total, 6.5. I'll take 6.5 every day. That's it for the show, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you all tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern. Marco, thanks for sitting in, man.
No problem. Anytime, Prez. No problem.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.